Hello, everyone. Welcome to FinanceOlogy 101. Class is now in session. The information provided during this podcast is just that information. You will need to do further research to address your specific situation. Enjoy the session. Welcome, everyone, to another session of Gifted Generations Presents FinanceOlogy 101. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Robin Seegars, and the other host is my husband, Elroy Seegars.
Hello.
Hello. This session is about avoiding late fees and paying your bills on time. Now, I know people probably saying, why they doing that? Because we know how to pay our bills, but a lot of people don't, and they wind up ruining their credit and racking up
Yeah.
late fees, paying their bills on time. So I'm gonna give a quick story, and then Elroy can go from there. Um, okay, so um, we have our homeowners dues, like most people, and it's due every quarter. Well, they changed their system. We used to do it online, but they changed the system, and now it's so difficult that I decided to start mailing them. Well, the first time I didn't mail it, I went to the office, which is not too far from where we live, and I dropped it off. And the lady at the office said, this is going to be late because I say it's due by the first of the month, but it's not late until the end of the month. So I went like the third week of the month, and I handed it in because that's our HOA office. And what happened? She said it's going to be late, and I was like, "How? I'm giving it to you now." And she said, no, we have to mail it in to I guess the finance office or whatever people they are using to collect the money. And I said, so me giving it to you now does not count as it being on time? She said, no, it's not until they have it in their hands. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I decided to start mailing it. And I had to start mailing it like the first of the month to get it to its location so it can be processed so it wouldn't be late.
hmm
And it's like I thought I understood the system, but I didn't. so
Yep. Yep.
and that's what happens to a lot of us. We think we know the system, but we really don't. And
Yep.
we think we're doing the right thing and we're
Yep.
really not. So, Elroy, help us with understanding better how to make sure we on time with bills and the mindset we need to have for paying bills on time.
Well, there are a list of things you can do, you can implement, and hopefully, as we reinstitute and rebuild our app, that would be one of the things you would use to be a constant reminder for yourself. But the first thing you got to do is first actually make a list of every bill that you have. Now, a lot of people forget to write down the small stuff like gas bill, right? Because some people pay when they go in the store, some people may pay in cash. It's still a bill. Why? If it leaves your pocket, it's a bill. If it's done on a consistent basis, it's a bill. All right. Even sometimes inconsistent basis, it's still a bill. Find out when your payments are due. All right, that is a big one because people don't realize the due date doesn't mean that's the date you want to go pay the bill. You actually want to pay the bill well before that due date is there because we all know there could be late charges, and then which can lead to even bigger and worse problems. You want to add your payments to like a calendar so you can see it. Decide how much you want to pay on the bill because if you don't have enough money to pay your bills, you got to make some decisions, life decisions. And I always say, pay the things you need. Your mortgage, your rent, your water, light, car insurance. food, things you need. Credit card bills can be one of the last things you pay if you run out of money. Not one of the first things you pay because you want to be able to charge something next month. No, one of the last things. You also want to set up automated payments whenever possible. And I say whenever possible. If you know you are running short every month on your bills, you might not want to do automatic payments because if they draft that money and you're short, now you've got an extra bill that's called overdraft. So you want to make sure you have more than enough money in that account to pay for bills. You also want to devise a system for manual payments. If I'm not going to make it automatic, I need to set up something that's going to help me to remind myself to do it manually, which is sign up for reminders. When I say sign up, there's all kinds of programs out there to do reminders, or you can do one on your calendar, Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, whatever kind of calendar you have, your phone, when a bill is due. So you got to just sit down and map those things out. One thing I always tell people when I'm working with them on a budget, I think it's good to see when things are due, not when you pay them, right? So I always tell people, just to start off, print out a calendar, Outlook calendar, the current month, put it in front of you, and then write down when each bill is due. And when you look at it, you can have an overall view of when bills are due, right? You'd be like, oh, okay, I got 5 bills due on the 5th, 3 on the 4th, some on the 3rd, 8th, 29th. And I'm the type of person, it's like, if I'm paid monthly, no big deal, right? Because it's all going to be from one paycheck. I'm going to work with the creditors to maybe swap some of those due dates so they're not coming out throughout the course of the month. That's what we're going to do. We get paid once a month. What happens? Man, I got to save this money for the 15th, the 16th, the 17th, especially if you get paid on the first. You want to sit down and pay all those bills at one time. You can do that well in advance or by changing your due date so that the due date is on the 5th or the 10th, things like that. I've done that a few times when I want to shift things around. So you got to be very careful. You want to be mindful when those bills are due. I love monthly payments. I love people get paid every month because it's one check and you can just get everything done the first of the month. Boom. If you own bi-weekly, or if you own weekly, or you own a bi-monthly, you still want to know when those bills are due because you got to be able to sit down and say, okay, what's due this week? What's due this bi-weekly? What's due this month? And come to some kind of understanding of when things are due every single month. Now, one thing a lot of people don't know, those due dates can't change. Legally, they can't change. If it's the 21st, it's always going to be the 21st. What does shift is when the money is, if it's automated, drawn from your account. It could range from one day when it's drawn up to 5 to 6 days from that money is drawn out. But if it's automated, you're gonna always know. Hey, they'll tell you if your bill is due on the 15th. They'll tell you in the statement, online statement, or paper. We're gonna draft your account on the 12th. Why? Because it's gonna take us 3 days to process it. So that money may come out on the 12th, even though you might say, well, this money is gonna hit my account on the 15th. Not so fast. It may be drawn on the 12th, the 13th, or the 14th, or the 15th. So you got to be very careful as far as when you get paid, when those bills are due. I think that's one of the biggest things problems people have is knowing how much I have in my account, knowing what's due, and knowing the when it's due. So that is a good starting point from there, Robin, and let you ask any kind of question that you may want to ask me
So,
if you
so
have any.
another, yeah, I do. So, you said we can call
Mhm,
the different locations and ask
mhm.
them to
Yep.
change your due
Mhm,
date, and
mhm.
they'll be willing to change that for
Yep.
you.
Yep. Like some can't. So if you paid on if you like a house payment, you do your house payment like bi-weekly, that's not going to change because it's every 2 weeks. You see what I'm saying? So you got to understand
Mm-hmm.
that. I did with State Farm. Our State Farm bill was due on I think earlier or late. I can't remember what it is now. And I said, hey, I got more bills coming out my first paycheck than my second paycheck, and I want to balance it a little bit. A little bit coming out of first paycheck, a little bit coming out of second paycheck, type thing. And I just say change the due date. So now it's like I want to either move them all up all back the same date, but you can discuss with your vendor, your people who collect the bills. which date. Some can do it, some can't. But it never hurts to try to synchronize those dates that matches when you think you can pay those bills. It always works in your favor if you just take your time and sit down and figure out what works best for you.
And this also comes down with the planning. Say you have, I'm just going to throw out some numbers. Say you had get
Mm-hmm,
paid $700
mm-hmm,
every 2 weeks, and
mm-hmm,
the first paycheck of the month you have bills that say $400, but your
mm-hmm,
second pay of the month the bills are $900.
mm-hmm,
So you're short the last check and you over
mm-hmm,
the first check.
mm-hmm.
A
Happens
lot
a
of
lot.
people, you have to make sure you carry money over. Just because you
Mm-hmm,
have extra money
mm-hmm,
from your first check,
mm-hmm.
you need to save it to pay the bills to add to the money for the second paycheck of
Yep.
the month. Because if not, you're going to be short $200 or
Mm-hmm,
whatever you're short every second part of the month because you have more bills than pay.
mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
when in actuality you have enough money if you just set aside
Mm-hmm,
out of the first paycheck the
mm-hmm.
part of the overage to combine with the second paycheck. And I think a lot of people think they got that extra money and they go and enjoy it, and then they
All right.
suffer
I
later.
see. Right now,
Um,
for shop. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So let me do you
So
one. Let me do you one better than
go.
that, Rob. Let me do you one better than
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
If you know you have $200 extra, and you know you're going to be short within the next week or two, you can
Mhm.
actually go ahead and pay that bill early in advance and consider it done off the off.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
If I know I
Okay.
got $200 extra and I know I'm going to be short, I'm going to look at, okay, which bill am I going to be short on? Or how much do I need to save? It may be like $80. I got to save $80 from this next page, the first paycheck, to go towards the second paycheck to
Mhm.
pay for bills. Guess what? I'm going to pick out
Mhm.
one of those bills that I know I can cover from my $200 I have extra. Still have some money in my pocket in my account, pay that bill. So now when I get my paycheck, that bill is now done,
Cover.
and now
Mhm.
and I've covered everything well in advance. So you got to figure out, like you said, if you're smart enough, if you're wise enough, if you have the energy and the wisdom to say, I'm not going to spend this money, great. But what happens the most of the time? We spend it. So you can always just pay it early. If you get it, just pay it early.
So in other words, just because the say is due on the 12th, don't mean you have to
Mm.
wait till the 12th to pay it. If you
Exactly.
you have the money on
Exactly.
the 7th, go ahead and pay
Mm-hmm.
it. If you have the
Pay it.
money on the 10th, go ahead and
Mm-hmm.
pay it. You don't have to
Yep.
wait
Yep.
till it. So it's better to pay it early because
Mm-hmm.
you wait till the 12th, then
Mm-hmm.
you run the chance of being
Yep.
late or not
Yep.
paying it at all.
Remember, I said I love people who get paid monthly, and that is the
Hmm.
reason why. Because they get one paycheck. So when they get that paycheck, they, regardless when it's due, the first, the 15th, the 21st, the 8th, they go and pay for all their bills at one time because they
Hmm.
know there is no more money coming in the middle of the month.
Right.
So regardless of when the bill is due, they always pay it super early. Why? One paycheck, sit down one time, and you're done. So most people who get paid monthly, I would suggest this. Is what I would suggest. Let's say you don't have the energy to go and talk to all those people to change a due date from the 28th to like the 15th or to the first or the fifth. You can go online and say pay this bill this time every month at this time. So if I got a bill due on the 15th, online I can say pay it for on the 5th. If
Mm.
I got a bill due on the
Okay.
28th, I can say online pay for it on the 5th when I get paid. What I always do, I make sure my money is deposited first, clears, and then 2 days later, I would pay for everything. I would not say I get paid on the 5th, all the bills on the 5th, pay them on the 5th, because you may not know which one will hit your account first.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you get paid on the 5th, wait till the 7th or the 8th to pay those bills either manually or set it up automated to pay it on the 8th for the 7th each and every month. That way you avoid all that.
Now that is all good if you know, like, every month this bill is $112 and
Mm-hmm.
this bill is $69
Mm-hmm.
and this one
Correct.
is
Correct.
$40.
Correct.
But what about those bills that the amounts vary?
So I'm thinking you were talking about maybe electricity or gas, like to heat your house.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we do. I can't tell you what someone does, because typically what happens is when you want to, the summertime comes up, your gas bill is super low, woohoo, but your AC bill is super high, right? Or vice versa. When in the winter months, the gas bill is super high and your electric bill may be low. Or if you have electric year round, it's going to be high in the summer sometimes and then high in the winter. I like, even though it may cost you a few dollars to do for them to process it, I love EPP, Equal Payment Plan, which means that over a course of 12 months, they will see how much energy you use for your gas and your electricity. And they're going to say, for these 12 months, you average this amount, let's say $110. So for the next 11, 12 months, you're going to pay $110 over those 12 months. So now you know exactly how much you're going to be paying for that bill. And then 12 months from then, they're going to say, hey, this year you use more. It may go up a few dollars. This year you use less. It may go down a few dollars. But in doing that, they always give you a statement in a comparison of what you used last year, what you use this year, so you can kind of see where you are. And they also give you a statement saying, hey, you are over by this much. And each month they take off that amount till you get down to zero, or they owe you something, which they won't owe you. They just lower your amount for the next 12 months. So equal payment plan is great. Like I said, there's a small fee, but I already have a small fee I pay and know exactly how much I need to take out my check every single month. Done. Otherwise, you have to budget for those flexibilities and those huge hits in the summertime and the wintertime. And that can throw a budget completely out of whack. Completely.
Yeah, yeah. And you have to have a lot of foresight and
Mm-hmm.
management skills and
Mm-hmm.
paying close attention to
Yep.
your
Mm-hmm.
money and the bills to
Mm-hmm.
manage something like that because
Yep.
it could
Yep.
fluctuate a lot.
Yep.
Okay, okay.
Yep. Yep. You
So
said it.
it's important to um, work with your vendors
Oh,
and get
most
those
definitely. Most
dates
definitely. Most
if
definitely.
you can.
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. So here's a number I'm gonna give to you. It says the penalty for like late fees, the average penalty is like $33.47. That's an average. So let's just say some may be lower than $30 some may be higher. So when you're late, that's just another bill. So paying a bill, not knowing how much, paying it short. I know right now during COVID, there are people out there saying, I can't afford to pay the whole entire bill. There's there are places that will help you pay for part of that bill or pay some of the bill, whatever. I always tell people they can do but so much for you. Eventually, that's gonna catch up to you, which means if you if you don't pay your electric bill for 12 months, what are you doing with that money? Now, if you don't have a job, I understand. If you just blowing that money for X, Y, and Z, oh, because I ain't got to pay my electric bill for 12, it's going to come back on you. So while they are giving you a reprieve, you need to make sure you sit there and figure out how you're going to pay those bills too, because that's going to be something that's going to catch up with you all at one time. They're pretty good too about saying, hey, um, your bills, let's say $800. We're gonna just charge you your normal fee plus $50 every month. Or we're gonna divide this bill up into four equal parts or five equal parts, you know, type things. So companies are really good about working with people. They are really good. But if you don't call, they don't know your situation. They don't know. So Robert, you always say, you are the CEO of your family. You got to figure out how to best work the situation for you when it comes to reaching out to people, getting either the help you need to help pay these bills, figuring out how much when your bills are due and how much. You're your family's business. Only you can take care of you and those in your home and your loved ones. But you gotta sit down and really focus on the situation at hand. And sometimes it can be extremely discouraging. But this is when you gotta say, I might find the strength to maybe get some guidance, to have somebody help you
Right.
to look at those things. Sometimes a second eye, somebody you can trust, somebody you can be vulnerable with the process. And that's not always easy because people don't like to be judged. You know what I'm saying? In their
Right.
situation, they need assistance, and you don't want somebody looking at you with your side eye. You know,
Right.
um,
Right.
I mean, there's so much, when it comes to paying bills. I know the way I do our bills is, even though I don't, we can pay all our bills at one time, and they say, oh, it's not good to live paycheck to paycheck. I still do our bills in brackets. You know, we get paid I get paid every 2 weeks, and I see what bills due in that 2 weeks, and I make sure we have enough money to pay those bills in those 2 weeks. And anything left over, I take that money and assign it to something, savings account or travel fund or miscellaneous fund. Put some money in the jar where I checked today and it was all gone. My wife had to give me $5 to go to work. I was like, what is spending? What house money? She's like, oh, you need that? Oh, okay. I was gonna go to the store today, baby. I was like, hey, we all good. But that's called house money. That's called house money. I try to every now and then put a little money in the house. So when she needs something, she ain't gotta go to the ATM machine. She ain't gotta swipe it. She just takes it from the jar. I just so happen to say, baby, I need a little bit of money today. I want to have some money in my pocket. And she said, here's $5 for you. She gave me $5. And guess what, baby? I bought those $5 back home.
Okay.
So it's difficult, when you are down and out and you need that help.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you talk to the people that you trust. And here's the thing, our pastor always say, which is Dr. Chapman of Raleigh North Christian Center, 621 Lewisburg Road. Um, I always gotta give a shout out
Raleigh,
to our
North
pastor.
Carolina. Raleigh,
Yeah,
North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina, for
Yeah.
Raleigh North Christian Center. So yeah, on Lewisburg Road. I always gotta give a shout out to our pastor and First Lady, Dr. Apostle Jeffrey Chapman and First Lady Sandy Chapman. Great ministry heads, and which he teaches entrepreneurship. And we have grown so much, and not just entrepreneurship, but in the management of our money.
Mm-hmm.
Take a class, because those things can help you focus on paying bills on time, focus on building a budget. And even when you can't, and this is what people always, to me, Robert, miss the point. Well, why don't you take a class for? I don't make enough money. It's not about how much you make; it's how you manage it
Right.
down
Right.
on just a small thing. Because the good Lord not going to give you more if you can't manage less.
Right.
But if you get that
Right.
mindset down now, down the road, it's going to be easy. It's
Because
going to be.
you don't ever want it to be that the Lord bless you with a lot of money and now you done just blown it because you know how to manage it.
Exactly.
You don't wait till you get a huge
Exactly.
financial blessing. You start with
Exactly.
the where you are, and
Exactly.
then when that blessing come, you ready, you can manage it.
Yep.
Because we've
Yep.
had several friends that was blessed financially and didn't have a plan and didn't prepare
Mm-hmm.
for it,
Mm-hmm.
and they blew it, and
Mm-hmm.
then they looked up and was wondering what happened to all
What
my
happened to that money?
money,
Mm-hmm.
and it was gone because they did not
Mm-hmm.
have a plan, they didn't think
Mm-hmm.
about it,
Mm-hmm.
they was just happy they got it,
Mm-hmm.
and before they
Yep.
knew it was gone. And
I
I'm
tell you
talking about
what.
a lot of money.
Yeah, you are so right. I tell you what. If y'all don't believe that, give me $1 million right now, and I can show you how to work it. I can show you how to manage it. You gotta give it to me now. It ain't alone. You gotta give it to me. I'm like, see, Robbie, remember that time when we was living in Florida, and I was like, hey, uh, let's see who can. Was it $5 that I had?
I
Let's see
think it
who
was
can say.
$20.
Yeah, and I
I
said,
think it was 20.
you want to tell a story?
No, you can go ahead.
I think I may get it wrong. And I was like, let's see who can hold on to his $20 the longest. Now Robin at that point in time lived on base housing, so she really didn't have no bills. I lived
I was
off.
okay. You
I
saying
was not
base
in the
housing?
military. I'm sorry, not
I
base
was in.
housing.
I was in.
In the military,
I was in the military, and
right?
we were living in base housing,
Was it? Was
right?
it? Was it? Now I'm talking about the time when you were single and I was single. I was dating you, and I said, let's see who can
Oh,
have
okay,
have this $20 that lasts the longest,
okay.
without who's gonna spend the less in a week. Baby, who won that?
I did no. He
Yeah,
won.
you
He
won because you
won.
know why? You spent the most, so you won. So you spent the most, so you right. You won,
Yeah,
boo. You won. You won.
yeah.
You
You
won.
still had your
Yeah.
$20 at the end of the week. You still had your $20.
I was like, woo, child. But you still had some money. But what I liked about you then, I was like, so what did you use it on? And we talked about how you used it. And
Mm-hmm.
I forget your answers at that point in time, but
Yeah, I can.
everything you spent it on was like something I saw was okay. That was a good purchase. Okay, that was a good reason to buy things. So what am I doing in the dating game, y'all? I'm sizing her up. Is she worthy to be my wife? And she was. She passed the test. You passed. You
Mm.
passed, baby. You passed. Still married to her, y'all. Still married to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm saying you, you have to analyze where your money is going. You see what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't making a lot of money then, so I was very particular how I was putting money in my gas, how I was eating, what I was doing with my dollar, because I knew at the end of the day I still had to pay those bills. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Do I want to go out and be wild with my money, or do I want to be sensible to make sure I can make ends meet? And my ends may not have been a lot, but it was more than what I made. So therefore, I had to be careful on how I spent my money. Got my
Right.
side hustle on, don't want to make me bills meet, things like that. So you gotta you just gotta know your situation, and everybody's situation is different. Don't allow yourself to live outside your own means because, as they say, the Joneses is doing things differently. And I'm trying to tell you, sometimes you look at people, it may look like they're living good, but when you really get down to many of the things, they are like, whew, why did we do that? We know we ain't had money for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it looks pretty, but Robin, you and I both know when you
Yep.
sit down, it ain't that. They're displaying a
Mm-hmm.
certain image, but in realization, they're suffering, they're hurting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And working with somebody can help reel that in. That's something that I love about my wife. When we set a target goal for something, I just say, "Hey, we're going on lockdown." She said, "Okay," and she already knows what that means. I ain't gotta say, "Hey, we're gonna cut back on this. We're gonna cut back on that." I'm like, "Hey, I'm putting it on lockdown for 4 months. We got a target goal." And she just said, "Okay," and whatever the goal is, she jumps right in. And she has never had a problem in our whole entire marriage. She's just like, okay. I said, hey, I want to meet this goal right here. I have a maximum goal that like if everything goes great, no emergencies. Okay, here's the goal if a little emergency. Here's the goal if we have a lot of emergency. So I have a high goal, which is way above expectations, a realistic goal, and like, oh man, it's a goal, but I don't want to be too far below. But yet,
Right.
I always sometimes fall between the middle and the high. Only very few times below because we had something that broke down, but we had funds for those. So I always set those goals for us and achieve those things without suffering or pulling back too much where we can't go out to eat or do a movie or have fun like that. You know,
Right.
but the thing that I like is that we was a partner in that thing. So I think the married people or people that really need to sit down and say, how are we going to do our bills? One thing I do not like is having separate accounts, checking accounts. It's just not. This is not me. You pay this bill, I pay this bill. You pay this bill, I pay. How are you going to track those things that be on time? That's not one accord. That's two accords, two accounts. That's to me. That's just me speaking, y'all. That's your house, but I'm just trying to say, me speaking, it's better to have one. I just know it works more. It works better. The functionality of bringing the communication, a conversation on one accord really does do a marriage great.
Because you're
So,
working together. You're working
mm-hmm,
together.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right.
I would say people, how many rounds you go with your wife or your husband? What do you mean? Because I see y'all sparring on that money. It's a 12-round fight. Because that's sometimes what it feels like. It's like they're sparring. And I know when it comes to the first time you hear the conversation, it's the toughest conversation. It really is.
Oh yeah. Oh
It
yeah.
really is. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
as you have more of them, it becomes easier.
Right. Right.
It becomes
Because
easier.
then y'all become starting to, like you say, get on one accord. Y'all starting to
Yes.
agree. You starting to see things the same way. And you're
Yes.
not having two different paths. And it helps you become more intimate with your money. A lot of people really don't know how much they spend or where their money's going. And
Yep.
all we're asking is, or talking about here, is being really intimate with your finances, knowing
Yep.
exactly. My pastor always says, if somebody walked up to you right now and say, I'm gonna write a check for all your debt, can you tell me? And if you
That
can't
number.
tell them that number,
Mm-hmm.
then you just lost the blessing. And
Mm-hmm.
that means you have to know. That means
Mm-hmm.
you spend time with your
Mm-hmm.
finances.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, there's no finances. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have that. No, still be
Mm-hmm.
aware of every
Mm-hmm.
single penny, every
Yep.
single dime. It does
Yep.
not matter how
Yep.
much you think you have or don't have.
Yep.
You have to know, because this is the only way you can come up, strategize, and come up with a game plan to move to that next level. If you
Yep.
never have a game plan, you're always going to stay where
Yep.
you are.
Yep. I like what you
That's-
said, game plan. I'm going to mention somebody's name that goes to the Raleigh North Christian Center, Billy Singleton. Now, this guy had a chart like a thermometer. And you talking about someone aggressive? This brother man was doing Uber. He was selling stuff in his house. But every time he would pay off something towards that house payment and bills, he would color in that chart. And here's what Robin and I was saying about working together. When they first started this process, him and his wife, she wasn't on board with it. But once she saw how much he was making a difference as far as recouping money and paying off bills, she jumped on board. After his wife jumped on board, guess what, y'all? They became debt free. So now they're
yeah,
debt free. But Billy just had his own plan. It may look crazy to some people, to a lot of people, but not to
yeah,
Billy. And
right.
guess what? Billy worked that plan to the very Billy end. And that's what I'm
He
trying to tell people. You gotta do what you gotta do in order to be successful.
And when we say debt free, we talking about cars, house,
House.
everything paid
Mm-hmm.
for, because
Mm-hmm.
he had a game plan and
Yep.
he stuck to his game plan and
He
he
did.
med it work. He didn't care
Mm-hmm.
about how much money he did or did not have. And
Yep.
and believe me, y'all, it wasn't like he had an inheritance that came and paid off everything.
He worked.
He had to work, work,
Mm-hmm.
work, all these part-time jobs. He sold things that he did
Mm-hmm.
not need. I mean, he made it work till he
He
is
did.
completely debt free. And we've been knowing Billy started this process maybe 2 3 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
And
before COVID, so 4 years ago. Before COVID.
so 4 years ago, and I
Yeah.
tell you, before COVID hit real good, he was debt free.
Mm-hmm.
So that only took him like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So it is possible. If and that meant he knew what his money was, he
Mm-hmm.
knew who he owed, and he was
Mm-hmm.
aggressively attacking it. That's
Yeah.
why we're saying, look at what you owe, look at what
Mm-hmm.
you're making, devise a game plan. Make sure you're paying on time, because you can't keep affording to paying late fees. And you might think it's $20 here, $30
Mm-hmm.
there. That
Yep.
adds up.
It
That
does.
adds up.
It
So
does.
look at your finances. Sit down and study them. Spend that
Yep.
quality time. My husband would spend hours sitting at that spreadsheet. I mean, hours. And I'm like, what in the world is he doing? That's because now he is our CFO, because he has the mind for finances. His mind just works differently when it comes to finances. So he's in charge of that. And he sees it, he sees it different from most people, so he know how to work it. But he would sit for hours at that spreadsheet trying to make things work, and it always did. You have to be intentional about your bills. You have to be intentional about your finances.
Yep.
We can't keep being lackadaisical with swipe, swipe. Oh, it's
Yep.
late. Oh, I
Yep.
forgot about this bill. I had a friend
Mm-hmm.
that would, back in the day when bills came in the mail, all of them came in the mail, couldn't
Yep.
find half the bills
Yep.
because they was being thrown any and everywhere. And then when
Yep.
she find it, it's like 3 months late,
Yep.
and oh,
Yep.
and I mean, just so unorganized about
Yep.
the bills, that and paying late fees and
Yep.
getting late notices and all that,
Yep.
and had the money, but
Yep.
was just so lackadaisical about the whole process that it
Yep.
cost her so much
Yep.
money to
Yep.
pay late fees and get caught
Yep.
up. It was crazy.
Yep.
So it's just
You're right.
us being intentional, us paying
Yeah.
attention to our bills, us
And,
being organized.
yeah. And you got to teach your kids too.
Yes.
We sometimes we don't involve our kids in the process, and we try to teach our kids. Now, once they get grown, they may go off and do all kinds of woolly stuff. You gotta give them some room to grow, and sometimes it's hard. Even it's like, oh my gosh, if only he would have did this, he'd have known, but he just saves it. You know, but they catch on at a different pace. You know, and I know it's tough. Because they get it one time, and like, oh, he got it. Oh, he lost it. Oh, he got it. Oh, he lost it.
Because
But
we have we
he's
have
he cycle. They
yeah.
catch it, and it begins to fester in their feelings, in their mind, the thought, and like, oh, because once that account starts to grow, you were like, oh, I got more than 1,000. Oh, I got more than two. Oh, I got more than five. Oh,
Yeah.
eight. Oh, this is good here, and it changes
So
your whole mindset.
it does because we have two sons. One that's finally getting it and he is rolling with it. And the other one saying, I get it when I get it.
Yep.
It ain't like
Yep.
it's not being taught and talked to him, but he's like, I get it when I get it. So we have to step back and let him get it when he's going to get it because we can't. It's not going to do you any good to get
Yep.
frustrated and force it. He
Yep.
get it when he get it, and one is on its way and one is taking its sweet old time, and it's like, okay,
Yep. Yep.
that's your
Yep.
flow, that's your flow. But with your kids, definitely at least talk
Teach
to
them.
them about it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
engage them in that
Yeah.
process. Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah.
it's not important. It's imperative. It's
And
a
then show them,
must.
because a
Yeah.
lot of times when our sons were small, they be leaving lights on, running water like crazy, and I'm like, do y'all realize we paid for this? And they like, huh? They didn't even know. They was like, "You pay for water?" Yes. So we start showing them the bills. We that water that you're running in the sink while you standing there looking at your phone, we're
Yeah.
paying for.
Yeah.
They didn't know leaving lights on all over the house.
Yeah.
Turn the lights off. So we
Yeah.
started showing them the bills,
Yeah.
and then start showing them that if it ain't paid by this date, it's late,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
You
it's
got to
another
bring them up.
charge.
Got to bring them up,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
knowledge of what's out there in the world. A lot of times we don't want to expose them to certain things. Like, no, you expose them to it early, they get easier and better later.
Right, right, right. Because
It's
these
going to be so
skills,
much easier.
that skill set is not being taught in school.
No,
That
it's not.
skill set
It's not.
is not being taught as far as paying the bill, paying them on time. Because when I was coming up, my mom taught us. She said,
Right.
okay, we all started working as teenagers. She
You
gave
pay the
each
bill.
one of my brother and
Mhm.
my sister a bill and
Bill.
said, we, and she gave me one too. You pay this bill and you better pay it on time.
Yeah. Yep.
So we
Yep.
had to make sure we had the money.
Yep.
Had to make sure we knew the due date, and we made
Yep.
sure we paid it on time. Back then, you
Yep.
actually physically went in the office and paid
Yep.
wherever the electric company, whatever. But yeah, I mean, so I learned at an early age that bill come in, you better pay it on time, and you better
So
pay all of it.
yeah,
Huh?
I was gonna say that. Tell them about that story. You just said pay all of it. How you thought paying a partial bill was okay. Remember you were telling that story a while back.
Well, back then, this was my sister's thing. It wasn't my thing. My mom said, "Pay the bill." I paid the bill. But my sister, she going, God bless her. She had the mindset that I ain't gonna give them all my money. So if the bill says $50, she just go put $20, $30 on it. But she didn't realize that that unpaid amount was adding up. It was adding up. It was adding up till a point that whatever utility she had, it got turned off. And my mom was like, why is I can't remember what it was. Why is this turned off? And she was like, I've been paying the bill, but she was only paying a few dollars here, a few dollars there. So I guess she thought the rest of the money was just disappearing. I don't know. I guess they were just taking it off the account. But she didn't realize it was adding up to the point that it was hundreds and hundreds of dollars that was owed. So they turned the utility off. I can't remember if it was gas or the electric. But my mom was pissed because she said, when I said pay the bill, I mean pay the whole bill, not just keep paying part of it. And as an adult, she kept doing that because the
Oh
cable
boy.
get cut off and
Oh
this get,
Jesus.
because she continued as an adult doing that. And it's like, no, pay the
Yeah.
whole bill. And when I told her, when we first got married, that how we pay our bills, that we pay, she said, you pay the whole, I mean, she was shocked. You pay the whole bill. Yes, that's how much we owe. You pay the whole thing. and
Yeah.
and to be honest, when we first started paying bills, as we first got married, it was a shock, because I'm seeing my sister do one thing and we're doing something else, and it's like, whoa, we doing something totally different. And she could not believe. And so
Yeah.
she racking up late fees, the money she wasn't paying, all of that was
Mm-hmm.
adding up until they turned off whatever it was that she was
It's a
paying. And
it's
she
a
couldn't
it's a
believe it.
it's a huge cost to you. And
Yeah,
anything unpaid, it's gonna be paid or taken.
yeah,
You decide. And then once it's turned off, as a fee to get it turned back on
turn
top of
back
what you
on.
owe.
Yep, yep. Oh, my
It ain't
mom.
it ain't, it ain't, it ain't
Whew.
free. It
Oh,
ain't
she used to
free.
be
It ain't free.
so mad because she
Yeah.
just thought that we was doing the right thing. And of course, my
Yeah.
sister,
Yeah,
she,
and that
she
just comes from teaching them while you're young. And that's why I was saying teach your kids these things. Expose them, show them, help them out.
hmm
Don't wait till they get to high school or get to college and they don't know understand about budgeting and paying bills and things like that. We should always give our kids money. And like, "Hey, how much your lunch money for the week? Okay, multiply that times 4. Here's your money for the month. You run out, tough. Get a sandwich from the house. We told them, hey, you can go spend $4 on the food. You can go to $10 at McDonald's. But when that money runs out in your hand, don't come back to me until next month. And they learn very quickly. Oh, I was serious. Make a sandwich, take it to school. We ain't doing this. So they understood about, okay, I got this money is for this bill, which is called food. If that runs out, I need to make a sandwich because mom and dad ain't give me another cent. And they learn, okay, start. What was they doing, Rob? They started saving their money and started making the food from the house. I'm like, where you get
yeah.
$40 from? Oh, I just saved all my money from the money that you gave me, Dad. And took my food out of the fridge every week. Oh, okay. But I still get them lunch money. And what they did with it was either saved it, spent a little bit of it, but they had money. And they learned how to,
hmm
okay, let me reallocate this to this. Because mom and dad got me food in the house. Why do I need to buy food every day at the cafeteria? So they started getting
hmm
smart and making wise decisions, knowing how to maneuver that money in the best way that fit their lifestyle. So this
So
is good. This is good. I
yeah,
appreciate it.
this is good. So I just chose this topic to revisit because I know it's so important to pay your bills and pay them on time. That is so
Mm-hmm.
important because you
Mm-hmm.
you can ruin your credit. You can put yourself more in debt, all the late fees and all the charges. And don't play games like back in the day you could write a check and
Right.
post date it and all that stuff. I mean, I'm quite sure there's games that can be played down with it. Don't
Right.
just pay what you owe, because you
Yeah.
used it. Pay what you owe, and it
Yeah.
just come with strategizing and planning and being aware of
Yeah.
your finances. You have to
Take
be.
take take classes too.
Yeah, yeah.
Take
So
take classes.
so
Take
be
classes.
intentional about your finances. Finances.
Yeah.
This whole podcast is about us being intentional about our finances. And you see, once you do that, it can take you to another level in life.
Yeah.
And
You can.
you feel more in control, to be honest. More
Yeah.
in
You
control.
do.
So
Well, you will be in control. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
that's a fact. You feel that you can. You tell your money where to go versus the money telling you where to go. It's not calling
Right,
your name out. You saying, "Hey, I'm putting you here for a reason." I know people just let's say their bills are like let's say 800 bucks, and they only got enough for 500. They got to make a decision what needs to be paid first. What needs to be paid
right,
last.
right.
Like I said, it's credit card people. You out. You know, I'm just gonna just deal with you later, type thing. I'm gonna give you a
Mm,
call. Can you take $20? They'll probably take it.
yeah,
So prioritize what you gotta pay first. Don't wear and I've seen some people say, well, I gotta pay this credit card bill because I gotta be able to buy something next month. Something like what? So your light's gonna go off. What you gonna go buy a nice pair of shoes? It's like prioritize. It's realistic to your life, so you won't have to go out and do things that's unnecessary or bad decisions. That's why
Right.
accountability partner is important. If you're single, you need an accountability partner. Don't if you spend, don't go on and find somebody that spends too. Find somebody the opposite of that who likes to, save and can do budget. If you're a budgeter, you do nothing but save, live a little. Find somebody that can spend a little bit. They can help free you up some. Some need to be freed up, some need to be tightened up. If you're married, work together. And I pray someone is better with the fat cash than the other. If you're both bad with it, seek outside help.
Yeah.
Seek some outside
Definitely.
help.
Definitely. So let's wrap this up. Did
Wrap
you
it up.
want go ahead and give our social media?
Yes, I can do that. Yes, I can. The website is well, Gift of Generations. Let me spell that. GIFTEDGENERATIONS dash LLC.com. So please, what, Robin? Don't
Don't
forget
forget the
the
dash.
dash. Facebook
Right.
is Gifted Gen LLC. Instagram, IG, the gram is gift.g. YouTube, just do a search for Gifted Generations LLC. And those are our sites. And also, we're going to be posting other things out there for like the book collaboration that I'm a part of. Just trying to get the books in and maybe put them on a website, make them available. It's called Dose of Victory for Veterans. I'm going to be featured. I don't know when, but I know it's going to be coming up in the New York Weekly, the LA Wire, the CEO Weekly, the Atlanta Wire, the Miami Wire, and the San Francisco Post. So waiting for those things to come up. When they come live, I would definitely put on the website. I invite you guys to come and check it out and read the posts when they become available. Also, going to be
So
on New
that's
York
for
Times.
the what? For the book?
It's a book collaboration that I actually was part of 30 people, 30 authors, and I wrote a little poem in the book. I'm on page, I forget what page I'm on, page 76 actually, day 60, and the book is called Dose of Victory for Veterans. It's a book collaboration. Um, so it's an inspirational book, and it's all inspirational things, quotes, sayings from veterans.
From veterans to veterans.
Yeah, well, veterans, anybody actually.
Well, anybody, because
Well,
of
yeah,
the rate
right,
of
right,
suicide that's
right,
happening
yeah,
now. So
right. So anybody
it's
can
a
read.
book
Yeah,
that to bless your soul. So
right, right. So anybody can read. Yeah.
now I wanna correct you on something. On
Mm-hmm.
Instagram is gift.gen.
Oh,
GIF
okay.
dot
But
G
what did I say?
GEN gift.g.
Oh, G Money.
So
I'm talking
it's
about that G Money. Jen.
gift.gen.
Okay. All right. Let me pause for a
Okay.
second and then we can see it because you can edit that out. Want to?
No, no,
Okay.
it's fine.
Okay.
So that's our session for tonight, and I pray that you guys enjoyed this session, and you go back and listen to the other sessions we have out on FinanceOlogy 101 on Podbean. We have a lot of them out there, all sorts of topics.
Yes.
So
Yes.
just go out there and listen, and it's all the podcasts is to make you
Yeah.
aware.
Yeah. And
Just
there's
want
no
people to be
particular.
aware of their
Yeah.
finances.
Yeah. It's no particular order. You may find a topic
Right,
that you want to listen to. Pick out
right,
that topic and then listen to it. There's no
right,
one. There's no 1 through 5. It's just like, hey, I want to hear something about taxes. Okay, taxes. I want to hear something about life insurance. Okay, like they're out there. They're out there. So just
right,
pick and
right.
choose when you want to listen to and enjoy it. They're all under 45, under an hour to 45 minutes. Some between 30 to 45 minutes. So yes, go out there, enjoy yourself. Join us,
Yeah,
like us. Share it if you want to. It's some
right.
inspirational stuff.
And on Facebook, on Gifted, what is it,
Jen,
Roy? Gifted
Gifted
Gen.
Jen LLC.
We have I like to post a lot of articles, regarding the different topics, some videos of people speaking about the topics. So I just wanted to give you guys different information, different
Yeah,
formats of the information. So each
yeah,
topic that we have a podcast on, I try to go find an article to coincide with it or video. So check out our Facebook page and scroll through the timeline and see
yeah.
some of the things that we posted out there,
And you do a
financial
great job.
information.
Yeah, you do a great
So,
job of finding some
well,
stuff. I
thank
was
you.
like, wow, where'd she
Yeah.
find that at? Okay, cool. I'm like, ooh, that's a good
So,
article. I found it when I'm reading, I'm learning something myself. So good
well,
job.
thank you.
Good job. Good job.
So, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you. I pray that 2022 will be an awesome and amazing year for you.
Yep. It's the
Have
breakthrough
a,
year.
yes, have a blessed day. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good night. Well, thank you for tuning in to our podcast, FinanceOlogy 101. I hope you enjoyed this session and the information provided will assist you on your financial journey. Until next time, be financially engaged.